Welcome to today's series, The Watchmen. This is your host, Pastor William, and I am bringing you today part two of a series that we began last week entitled Life Redefined. Stay tuned for this upcoming episode of our new program. Well, thank you for staying tuned. Once again, I want to bring you information that is not being preached in today's charismatic Pentecostal churches per se, and it's about the current lifestyle of technologies and the various types of increasing of knowledge of like AI technology and the various types of breakthroughs in medications and all the various kinds of of focuses of the currency, cryptocurrency, all these different kinds of things have redefined our focus in what life we live today. It's just an incredible amount of redefining happening in society, and what that's doing is it's bringing a lot of increasing confusion to people. But the reality is, especially when it comes to the reality of God, the reality of creation, the reality of the universe, the reality of Jesus Christ, and who He is. These redefining uh, uh, knowledge that has been being released through social media channels such as YouTube and Facebook and all the different types of social media communication platforms there are now have been giving people a mindset that the world, or that the universe, or that creation is a hologram or a holographic type of creation that we live in, and people think that that reality doesn't exist, and that they can be their own God, they can bend their own time and create their own future and create their own present, and 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 the reality is, you know life is a reality. That's the reality. So what I want to do is share with you today uh, some of the defining facts that make me that cause me to come up with this title of this program entitled Life Redefined. And the reason is because, as I said in our last program, Jesus said, don't be deceived. Do not allow current day systems of information deceive you about who He is and about what life really is. And 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 that's so important. So I want to share with you something, for example, out of Luke chapter 6 verse 39. And this isn't like a Bible study lesson per se, as much as it is a an awakening to truth, so that you can understand the perspective of where I'm really coming from. So Luke chapter 6 verse 39 through 42 gives us an amazing perspective on something that I believe has to do with resonance, frequencies, and the ability to refocus and re-understand and re-perceive uh, things that we've been taught for a long time, but not really comprehend and understand what we're being taught, or what's really being presented to us. And so, because the mindset that people have when it comes to the Bible, religion, and let me tell you, religion is very deceiving and very very limiting to the perspective of redefining who you are. Now, uh, I said in my last program that redefining who you are and life being redefined. One of the reasons is because there's been so many historical uh, uh, archaeological finds that have taken place that have opened up incredible amounts of research and information, such as the cuneiform tablets, for example, that have been discovered, that have so many ancient documents and cuneiform texts that have been uh, translated, and the knowledge and the information that's within these documents has just been mind blowing. And so it doesn't uh, change the fact of who God is. It doesn't change the fact of what He did. It just enhances the reality of what He did to help us understand a greater, bigger perspective of what God really did and who He is through who I believe His Son, Jesus Christ. Now, some people get offended with that, and that doesn't bother me because I know Him, and you don't know Him. That's that's one of the reasons why some people have a problem with that. They think that the Bible is talking about all the inward things that have to do with us humanly, like the pineal gland, for example, and scriptures in the Bible that talk about a place called pineal, and how so many things about, like, for example, Jacob's ladder, talking about the different levels of of enlightenment that we go through in our process of spiritual maturity. So many things that people relate to this natural world, which I believe is limited knowledge, and then relate to us humanly. Now think about that. Physically, the physical body has a limitation. It has a process of decay, and no matter how much you try to eat healthy, no matter how much you try to stay in the right frequency of 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 the right healing frequency, or the right frequency or resonance within your toroidal field or whatever, in your own mental state, there's still a limitation as to the length um, of its lifespan. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a limitation to who we are spiritually, because the body is only a temporary shell, and who we are, we live within that confinement. So, learning how to live in the confinement, in the temporary conditions of mass, and be able to extend that in its expression of life is certainly possible. There's certainly a reality of being able to do that. But don't get me wrong, physical existence is temporary, and it will continue to be temporary until the Creator, who I believe is God, who I believe is Jesus Christ, until He changes the the makeup and the condition of existence for the physical body to have an eternal existence. Until He changes that, the temporary condition is going to stay the same, no matter what people think. Now, look at this. In Luke chapter 6, it says, Jesus is speaking a parable, and He says, "Can the blind lead the blind?" Now, obviously, that's in English, that's a pretty straightforward statement, and people have been teaching about this religiously for so long that it's time for a redefining perspective about what this is really talking about. And let me read the rest of it. It says, It says, "Shall they not both fall into a ditch?" I mean, uh, that's logic. That's simple reasoning. And then Jesus says this: the disciple is not above his master, but everyone that is perfect shall be as his master, or those who strive to be perfect, or in Buddhism they say who strive for nirvana shall be as his master. Now, now I don't know about you, but I have mentors, but I don't have any of them that I call master. I don't have any mentors that have reached a state of nirvana per se. But I do believe that Jesus is my example for what that means and for what that lifestyle or that state of existence, that state of being is. And then he says in verse 41, "Why do you behold the mote that is in your brother's eye, but perceivest not the beam that is in thine own eye?" And now, uh, either how can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me pull out the mote that is in your own in your eye," when you yourself behold cannot even see the beam that is in your own eye? And now, uh, then he says, "Thou hypocrite, take out the first the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to pull the mote that is in out that is in thy brother's eye." Now, this is from verse 30 39 to verse 42. Now, I want to tell you something about this that that needs redefining, because in English it's a perspective that it's just really surface awareness. It's just logical, simple thinking. But the fact is that it's really talking about how to reinterpret these symbolically and contextually. Now, let's define a few things. Define the terms and bring them into a perspective that's correct. Now, the word moat, for example, let's see. Jesus used this word, and it says he says, uh, "Why behold? Why do you see? Why the mote that is in your brother's eye, but you do not perceive the beam?" There's two words, mote and beam, that is in your own eye. So uh, then we find that the word uh, mote, focus on the word mote and beam. We want to reinterpret these terms to so they begin to understand what they really are saying. The word mote refers to, in this English perspective, a small speck or a splinter or something that's distracting within your field of view. So, from the perspective of resonance, for example, or frequency, a mote can symbolize an obstruction, something that's causing a distortion in the perception or the way that we see or perceive things. You see, sight is not just a physical thing. Sight, the eye has an incredible capacity to take frequencies and turn them into visual imagery, and to process the visual imagery that the brain creates, and take all of the perspectives of color and all the frequencies of color, merge them into a perfect symmetry of imagery. And all of this is happening in a right now moment. I mean, there is absolutely no delay in the expression of this condition. And when we see it, when we're experiencing the reality of it in our life right now. Why? Because it's a right now reality, and it's something that is taking place in the present tense. It's not something that we have to wait, like for example, um, like for example, we have for example we have this perspective of delay in technology. Technology is always in a delay. but the perspective of the creation that God made, it's not in a delay. It's not in a state of delay. It is in a state of existence, and so what we have to remember is that when God is expressing and explaining what He did, then we realize that 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 is important for us to be aware of. And so what I want you to realize is that is that 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 a moat and a beam are two different things. And then as we see, it says the moat is a symbolic. We're giving a symbology to what it is. It can be a lack of clarity. It could be a misperception of what we think we see. And then this is redefining what Jesus is talking about. So you see, Jesus is not just talking on a surface level about a speck in one's eye. Even the word moat can even refer to a canal or something that brings a separation between two objects, which is incredible. So here Jesus is saying, hey, do you not see the thing that's separating you from the purpose that you have been created for? And yet you look at you think you can help the person who has something bigger, have a bigger issue in their life, uh, such as a beam. Now think about this: the word beam, it even denotes something that's in a natural sense. In English, it's talking about a large plank of wood or a log, but that's only a natural-minded perspective. It really has nothing to do with what Jesus is talking about. So to redefine this, a beam signifies a significant disruption or a spiritual block in one's perception, which is causing that person to perceive or process or project light and and to even communicate the frequencies of sound. Now, what's the problem? They have some kind of bitterness or some kind of judgmental issue, some kind of condition of unforgiveness, or some kind of sin, which what sin meaning some kind of dishonor or behavior, something that dishonorable in relationship somewhere, some kind of behavioral issue, some immature mindset, some immature attitude of some kind, and that blocks one's ability to perceive and project the true light of God's love and to be able to experience a greater measure of awareness and keeping one from rising into higher levels of spiritual maturity. So you see, Jesus is talking about something that's small and something that's more magnified. And then so this is a redefining perspective, and it really helps us to become aware that we have to deal with personal issues first. First, we deal with personal issues that hinder us from becoming mature, hinder us from having personal perception, having personal awareness, spiritual insight. People think, they want to have power, they want to have they seek after spirits of witchcraft or spirits of divination, and they seek after go to people who do what they call tarot card reading and try to get insight into what things spiritually mean, when they really don't even have the capacity to perceive what's even being said. Yet, that means that there's a separation, there's a moat in their life, and the moat is dry. It's not even filled with the water of life. It's so disparaging that there's not even a comprehension. Sometimes you see some people. Let's say example, if the certain kind of music comes on that that they feel a vibe to. They, and they kind of get in the flow and the rhythm of that, and it has nothing to do with worshiping God, with honoring God. But then when you talk to them about praying, you talk to them about God, they sit there like a dead stone, and nothing moves. It's like they have no perception of even the awareness and comprehension of what it means to have a relationship with God. Yet they say, "Well, I'm just I'm just that kind of person. I just am quiet. My relationship with God is simple." And their mindset is really that their pineal gland is dead. They have no ability to perceive or comprehend resonance frequencies or even process spiritual revelation, but they won't admit it. So you see, there's a time for redefining, and let me talk to you about some of the awarenesses that are so important for us in life today, because uh, to be honest with you, we live in a time where people are being deceived greatly. I know of a man who gave another man who claimed to be a what did he call himself? Some kind of a spiritual warlock or something, and that he could that he could find out what numbers the next the next uh, uh, what do they call it? People buy lottery ticket would be. He told this man he could find out what the next numbers for the lottery ticket would be, and if he give him $5,000, gave him $5,000, and the next three lotteries were completely wrong, and he said, well, the fourth one is the one, and he came up with the fourth one, absolutely wrong, and no refund of the money. Now, this is the kind of thing that people are doing today, seeking after false perceptions and seeking after false issues of the heart, thinking that these things will satisfy them in life. And so, life redefined. You have to redefine your purpose. You have to redefine your focus, and then be able to not be what Jesus calls a hypocrite, a person who has an outward appearance of in one sense, but on the other side, the the life is so inwardly broken. There's not even an ability to 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 sow seed into the ground of that person's life and produce anything, but yet they have an outward facade. That's a hypocrite. So you see, life being redefined today is so important, uh, for us to be aware that there's a new purpose that God has for you in your life today. There's so many people bringing information now that they call hidden knowledge and secret knowledge, and knowledge that has been hid from from the public, and and it's true. There have been uh, knowledge that's been hidden from the public for a long time, uh, and and a lot of this spiritual knowledge, secret knowledge, is being released now, so that people have access because of social media. For example, I'm using the words frequency and the words resonance and the word um, um, uh, toroidal fields, for example. Uh, these are mysteries to the common-minded person. These are mysteries to people to even understand what they have to do with everyday life, and yet there are people in circles of science who know that these are the foundational principles numerically that 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 make up the the very fabric of our existence. In other words, there's a guy named Nikola Tesla who is commonly quoted as saying when you think of life, think in terms of frequency and resonance, and you think of life, think of these numerically 3, 6, and 9. That these are mathematical numbers that are built into the very fabric of of creation. And when you think about geometry, you think about Mandelbrot sets, and you think about how toroidal fields function and flow and work, and so many things have been have been distorted and lied about scientifically and historically. Why have people from years and years ago who scientifically understand all of these things have lied to the public and tried to keep people spiritually down, spiritually blind, because they don't want to have to redefine the reality of life. And so today I want to help you come to a new perspective about life redefined, because um, when you come to a real awareness of God's plan for your life, then you begin to have a real understanding about what it means to have a future and a hope in Christ. And next time I want to talk to you about what that future and hope in Christ is, and help you get a redefined revelation about what it means to live as a new person with a new paradigm, a new awareness, with a life redefined by the plan of God.